First, who is Amritpal Singh?
Well, it's an interesting story. A couple of months ago, Ellie, none of us had heard of him. And today, suddenly, he's India's most wanted man on the run. He comes from a family of transporters in Dubai. And if you remember the farmers' protest in India, I mean, you and I think we talked about it a couple of months ago.
Right.
That is when he actually came to India from Dubai to participate in the agitation. And from then on, he really suddenly rose to prominence. He was a good orator, clearly. He networked. He used social media. He used Facebook. He used the Clubhouse app and kind of built his own little following. He kind of hitched on to an actor turned activist called Deep Sidhu, and kind of after his death, took over his organization. It's called Varis Punjab De, Punjab De Varis, one of the two. And he kind of took it over, and since then he's only been growing. Now he kind of proclaims himself to be a Bhindranwale follower. He models himself in that way, and it's not just his rise to prominence. He's physically transformed as well. I mean, he was a regular, clean-shaven, cut hair kind of guy, and now he wears robes. He dresses like him, like a cult leader almost.
Yeah.
He's grown his hair. He walks around with armed guards. So he's flamboyant, and clearly he is ambitious. Yes.
Yeah, really building an intriguing persona. That's for certain,
Yes.
and savvy enough to capitalize on existing tensions or sentiments. But we cannot ignore the fact, Actor Kumar, that his rapid rise is reviving some ancient vivid memories of the deadly 1980s insurgency in Punjab. How did it end then, and what similarities do you see to now?
So those were dark days, Ellie. I mean, like you mentioned, Punjab, at one time, we were all taught in school, it was called the breadbasket of India. It's a very prosperous state. But those couple of years, 15 to 20 years, the 1970s and 80s, that period was a terrible, terrible time. It saw a lot of violence. Thousands of lives were lost. It was a period of intense pain and suffering for so many families. When it finally ended, I mean, there were a couple of strong reasons. One of them was, of course, the police crackdown that happened under KPS Gill. I mean, for the first time ever, the police kind of ventured into areas that were unthinkable to flush out militants, including the Golden Temple, the whole Operation Blue Star, infamous.
Yeah.
Because they did that. So one was the intense crackdown, and it was also, I think, combined with the period of the lag. Last phase was in the 1990s. That was when India was really opening up. In 1991, India liberalized.
Yeah.
So with economic liberalization came opportunities, came growth. I think after this long period of struggle, it was also a period where people were if I had to use the word, they were just tired, right? You want to move on in life, and you want to kind of put your life back together and build it again together. So I think there were a lot of factors that kind of came in together at that time and brought an end to it. But it's like you said, at the start of our interview, you used the word deja vu, 1980s. And it's so true when you said that. The word Khalistan, for it to be prominently in the front page, making it to the headlines every single day, almost for the last few days. I mean, yes, it seems like 1980s all over again.
Yeah, some things are changing, but many things remain the same. Actually, before we let you go, it is the fourth day of the manhunt, and I think that perhaps a label of a fugitive only underlines the mystery surrounding his character. The High Court in Punjab pointing some fingers at police, saying the fact he escaped is a grave intelligence failure. So lots of pressure on police at the moment.
Oh yes. It's not just the courts that are watching. I mean, all of us have been watching.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, it's almost like some kind of a movie or a video game. He starts off in this fancy SUV, Mercedes, convoy of vehicles, and since then, last couple of days, he's been switching vehicles from a Mercedes to a smaller car to a pickup truck to motorcycles. He's changing his clothes. I mean, from robes, he's come down to shirt and trousers, changing his hair, his turban color. And literally, I mean, hundreds of police are after him. He's running. There are hundreds of police after him, and all of us are just sitting and watching
Yeah.
and waiting. So yes, of course, there's pressure.
And yeah, and he's definitely the one calling the shots at the moment. Fascinating development there, and we will definitely be keeping tabs. Columnist Ekta Kumar, thank you so very much for your time. We appreciate it. Always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you.
Ditto, Ali.